Namaskar to you all. I would like to thank Nachiketa ji and Swami Vigyananand ji for inviting me here today. It's indeed a pleasure. Anurag ji, Yogesh ji, Virendra ji, to everyone in the audience. This is the topic given to me, building a multidisciplinary world-class university, a Bharatiya university. And I'll talk a little bit about that. And I'll talk in a sense of a story, my story, and how that story translates into what I want to do. And I'll try and do it in 10 minutes or less. It starts with in 1942, where my grandfather created a school in rural Maharashtra. He was born poor. The school is a Marathi medium school in 1942. He started a company in 1939. So 3 years later, he's established the school in 1942. And I think that reflects a little bit about India then and India today. And I think we need to make India available to people who study in their local languages, which we should value as much as we do or more, because today we don't our English. So if this is, suppose it's a Marathi medium, we run a Kannada medium school, we going to start a Hindi medium school, plus what we do English. And our mottos were Jnana Devatu Kaivalyam, yani Jnanat Evatu Kaivalyam, knowledge only liberates, and knowledge to be used for what? Na Manushat Paro Dharma, which is there is no religion greater than that lived in the service of humanity. So we'll go. So I'll just go further. So we have a lot of programs, but what was the traditional university system? Was that a university has decided the curriculum, the college transferred it to the student, evaluation was done. Not much freedom for a affiliated college to a university. I really wanted to, we can just go to the next slide. And I just wanted to put my father, he created, he was very keen on religion to be brought on campus. He thought religion has endured time, and it is a force today that divides, but it can be a great force that also unites. And particularly our own culture, our Sanskriti, he thought must find place in our discourse and our education. He also talked about interfaith dialogue, because he said with those you disagree with, you must engage. If you don't engage with them, you don't come to some common cause. So that was there. Go to the next one. So I'll just go. He talked about Cornell, Harvard, MIT, not to talk about them. So maybe we don't have to go with these slides, because then my time will run out. So I just wanted to go study to the US. Looked nice on brochure. I was not a very well-traveled guy who went there, but brochure pe bahut acha lag raha tha. So I wanted to go. Father said, nothing doing. You'll go there, you'll get married and not come back. I was a little really keen. I wanted to see the place, go study. My grandfather just said, why don't you study at the Somaiya College? It is a good college. I said, grandfather, this is a Mumbai-based college. That is a world-class university. How can you? So immediately he said, go, but promise me that when you come back, you will make our institution such that in your lifetime, a student who goes and wants to study at Cornell will also put in an application at Somaiya. So I think I traded dreams with him. He gave me 6 years to study, so I therefore dedicate the rest of my life to fulfill the promise I gave him. But that said, when I went to Cornell, I really saw that freedom of choosing electives. I'm studying chemical engineering. I could take a course in Indian meditation text. Sports was compulsory. Knowing how to swim was, you couldn't get a degree without knowing how to swim. So I just thought that, well, this is very interesting learning. The content was good, it was well delivered, and it was really exciting. So coming back, just one step back. So I decided, I also later on, 15 years later, went to study at Harvard and got experience at MIT. Very enamored of the place. I thought, wow, fantastic. Look at the courses. I studied at the Media Lab, at the Strata Center. And I think there was a lot of incubation. It was very exciting. And I was offered a chance to teach at Cornell in chemical engineering. So I go 1 month every 2 years, and I continue to do so. I've done it about 8 times since then. But, one next slide. So just going back, so then I wanted to apply for university status. I applied in Maharashtra to the Maharashtra government for university status. And I asked an old professor friend of mine to help me to make the university application. At which time, when I was telling him about Cornell and Harvard and MIT, he said, learn from us, do not seem to become us. You have a great legacy, you have a great heritage. Take what the best is from us, but keep your soul with what you have. And I also credit him for doing that, and then we applied for a university, and we got a university status. And with that university status, the NEP allows us, which is now what the government does, great porosity between institutions and learning. So often when we talk about Indian knowledge systems, I am trying to do simple stuff, which sounds very, because we are a large system, we have 20,000 students in K-12 and 20,000 students in university level. So how do you even structure simple stuff like calendars being similar or timetables being similar? Because my thought is you can create, like if you have Professor Virendra saying AI must be necessary, suppose I say that every student must take some course in Hindi or Marathi or Gujarati or something like that. If the timetable is similar, the design can enable you for porosity. So the student can take Madhya Kali in Hindi, Kavya as a course, or it could take meditation, it could be Advaita Shastra, or it could be something like the Yog Vasisht. These are the things that we want to start doing, but unless I get the timetable right, I can't do it. Similarly, we started doing sports. Similarly, if you go to the next slide, go ahead. And I also thought, okay, now when that professor told me there's so much in your heritage you must learn, I thought, well, what was it in my heritage other than that, personal heritage plus common? I said, great, I had great sports experience. How can I create the best sports facilities in the city? I learned a lot about the Bhagavad Gita from my father. My mother used to love singing ghazals and bhajans. How can you bring some of that? My father-in-law was an architect. So how can you create super architecture? How can you create? So all those things we started trying to create in our university. My mother was she used to sing at home, traditional family, so not singing outside much. But, my dada was a kind of a, father-in-law who was a good guy, but he didn't think, but I thought, okay, now I create a school of Somaiya School of Music and Dance. My father was an art collector, so building a museum and a school of fine art so that the students can get an appreciation of what Indian miniatures were like. If there is a ragini, and if you have a painting on a ragini, what is the rag that is sung with it like? So this is the kind of stuff that we want to do. And we also my father had created a program of Bharatiya Sanskriti Peetham. After we became a university, we created what is the KJ Somaiya instead of Dharma Studies. And in Dharma Studies, we want to start bringing the Hindu tradition there. We also have the Buddhist tradition, we have the Jain tradition, and we also want to we'll bring in, you can bring in the Sikh tradition. We also do work in interfaith dialogue. But talking about research, my work is in biorefining. So I also do a lot of work in agriculture. And the whole idea is, I saw farmers working on Panchagavya. And when I look at my academics, we are not even taught what is Panchagavya. And we suddenly realize doodh, dahi, ghee, all these things, if you take gobar, gomutra, and we suddenly saw farming actually coming alive. So if you do the soil microbiome, what does it do? And so these are the kind of research projects that we want to give students internships with, based on Jnana Devatu Kaivalyam, so knowledge coming together, old tradition, new tradition, bring it back, and so we go forward. Go to the next. So this is, go back, so go one step back. So we want to be a world-class research and teaching institution, proudly Bharatiya, global in the reach of our ideas and universal in the service we provide. Next one. So that's, that's a picture of 70% of the campus in Mumbai. It's a 50-acre campus. We've not built the bottom right-hand side, which is being built. There's one building which is in temple architecture, Somnath style, dreamt of by my grandfather in the 70s, and it's going to be a whole center that we're doing. But 70 to 80% of this campus is built. Mumbai is the heartbeat of the country, and the country today is among the top economies of the world and growing fast. This is what we want to do. I will end with a response to one of the share that was said, and if I may, I think we are just beginning as a country, and we want to make our place there. तो आपको एक जवाब, साज़े दिल में भूल गया मैं तो दूसरी लाइन बोल दूंगा, जिंदगी जीने की बहाने बाकी हैं, ये दूसरी पंक्ति है. जिंदगी जीने के बहाने बाकी हैं, गैरों की दहलीज पे क्यों भीख मांगते हो यारो, अपने घर में अभी खजाने बाकी.